he should just walk away from Man City because we know that Man City is afraid of firing Pep Guardiola. And I'm noticing this trend whereby Pep Guardiola seems to not like speedy dribbling wingers. Welcome to another episode of Back Pass Tactics. We build backwards and transition forward because every goal begins with building from the back and passing forward. Today we're going to be talking about Donnarumma versus Ederson. We're going to be talking about should Man City sell Savinho? Should Rodrygo go to Man City? Pep Guardiola's new backroom staff, why they keep stealing Pep Guardiola's assistant coaches, and what are my expectations for Man City in the league this season. Let's start with the topic of Donnarumma versus Ederson. As you know, Donnarumma is fresh from winning the Champions League with PSG. He's fresh from winning the UEFA Super Cup with PSG. He's also fresh from winning so many trophies with PSG. And apparently, allegedly, PSG and Donnarumma are not seeing eye to eye in terms of the player staying at PSG. So Donnarumma is a wanted man in England. There are several teams looking for Donnarumma in England. One of those teams is Man City. The other team is Manchester United as well. So Donnarumma is a highly rated goalkeeper. But how does he fare out when you compare him to Ederson? If you look at last season, Ederson had so many shaky games. There were moments where Pep Guardiola did not trust Ederson. There were games where Pep Guardiola was using the second goalkeeper at Man City instead of Ederson. This shows that Pep Guardiola is losing faith in Ederson. And this might be time for Ederson to leave Man City because I feel as if Ederson reached his peak a while ago and he's on the decline now. Because as you know, each player has a peak and after the peak is the decline stage of the player. And Ederson is at the decline stage of his career. If you look at Donnarumma, on the other hand, he's fresh from winning so many cups. He's fresh from being one of the best goalkeepers in the world. In terms of the best goalkeepers in the world last season, you count Donnarumma in your top three. Whoever you are, you should include Donnarumma in your top three of best goalkeepers in the world. So in terms of this, Donnarumma is a far better option for Man City than Ederson. Man City should break the bank and sign Donnarumma because Donnarumma is a young goalkeeper. He's not at that age whereby he's old as Ederson. Because if you look at Ederson, he's on the decline stage and his age is slowly catching up to him. Yet Donnarumma is below 30 and he can offer you at least 5 seasons if you give him a long-term contract. He can be Man City's first choice goalkeeper for more than 5 seasons. I believe Pep Guardiola should sign Donnarumma. Let's also have a chat about why I think Man City should not sell Savinho. There's been rumors going around that Man City are willing to sell Savinho for the right price. And I believe this is the wrong decision because Savinho played well last season and Savinho is a good player for Man City. Even if you decide not to play him in your first 11, I think Savinho is a good super sub. So Man City should not let go of Savinho. And I'm noticing this trend whereby Pep Guardiola seems to not like speedy dribbling wingers. If you look at some of the speedy dribbling wingers, of late, Man City hasn't been using those type of wingers. And the only exception that you can make last season was Doku. Doku was the only dribbling midfielder who's a winger that Man City would use. So this thing of Savinho leaving Man City could be true because maybe he doesn't suit Pep Guardiola's style of play. But in as much as it doesn't suit Pep Guardiola's style of play, he should still stay in the team, whether as a super sub or as a player who plays cup games. It's still okay because Savinho is young. He can adapt to Pep Guardiola's style of play because we know the type of wingers that Pep Guardiola likes, and it seems as if Savinho does not fit the ideal profile that Pep Guardiola wants for a winger. Let's also dissect the fact that Rodrygo is also linked with Man City. Should Man City actually buy Rodrygo? I believe Man City should buy Rodrygo because Rodrygo is a Pep Guardiola type of player. And Rodrygo can play on either wing. He can also play as a number 9 as well. If you look at Man City, they only have one tried and tested number 9. And then you have Mamouche, who's also a number 9, but a winger in a way. So bringing Rodrygo into the team adds depth. And Rodrygo fits the Man City first 11. He walks into the first 11. Rodrygo is the type of player that would not be benched by Pep Guardiola because of his reputation and the number of goals and assists that he delivered at Real Madrid. I believe Rodrygo can come into Man City and play with Mamouche and play with Haaland. So my ideal front three of Man City, if Rodrygo comes to Man City, would be Mamouche. On the other side, Rodrygo on the other side, and then Haaland as a number 9. And then you can have your players like Doku coming in as super subs, because Doku does not deserve to be in the first 11 of Man City. If you're looking at the current front 3 players that I mentioned, he's not as elite as those players. And I believe Doku is a one-trick pony. He only does one style to take on players. And the more seasons go by, the more defenders will realize the trick that he uses to beat defenders, and it will no longer be as effective. Let's also talk about the fact that Pep Guardiola is hiring Jurgen Klopp's former assistant coach, Pep Lijnders. Pep Guardiola is running after Jurgen Klopp's old assistant coaches. He's recruiting Pep Lijnders. So Man City's bench will have Pep and Pep on the bench. So there'll be 2 Peps in Man City right now. And I think Man City recruiting Pep Lijnders as Pep Guardiola's assistant coach is actually a good decision, because Pep Lijnders was one of the most instrumental coaches when Jurgen Klopp was coaching Liverpool. He was a good assistant coach that would help Liverpool, that would help Jurgen Klopp when Liverpool won the Champions League, when Liverpool won the Premier League. Pep Lijnders was part of that technical team. So he does have the knowledge, and rumors are that when Pep Guardiola wanted to sign Pep Lijnders as his assistant coach, he had a conversation with Jurgen Klopp, and Jurgen Klopp gave Pep Lijnders his blessings and allowed him to join Man City. And he actually recommended Pep Lijnders to Pep Guardiola when Pep Guardiola asked about Pep Lijnders. So this means that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola trust Pep Lijnders. The only worry that I have about Pep Lijnders is that he seems as if he's the type of coach that deserves to only be an assistant coach. So when he left Liverpool briefly, he tried to be a head coach in Austria and he failed. Even before leaving Liverpool, he left Liverpool twice to try and be a head coach and he failed. So he's not a type of coach that you can say is a head first coach. So he's more of an assistant coach, and Pep Guardiola bringing in Pep Lijnders should be a wake-up call for Man City. Pep Lijnders is coming in as an assistant coach. Don't expect him to be Pep Guardiola's replacement in the long term, because we've seen how the story goes. Pep Lijnders is not a good head coach, he's a good assistant coach. These are my expectations for Pep Guardiola this season. I expect Pep Guardiola to win the league or to win the Champions League. If he doesn't win the league or Champions League, he should just walk away from Man City, because we know that Man City is afraid of firing Pep Guardiola. And in my personal opinion, I believe that Pep Guardiola is one of those coaches that you can't fire. Even if he doesn't get into top 4 this season, Man City cannot fire Pep Guardiola. So for his reputation, if he doesn't win a cup this year for Man City, a major cup, which is the Champions League or the league, I feel as if Pep Guardiola should walk away from Man City, because sometimes as a coach, you need a change of environment, and Pep Guardiola has stayed at Man City for so long. He dominated the league, won back-to-back titles, and maybe he deserves to try coaching somewhere else. Maybe he should try coaching a national team after Man City, or take a break like Jurgen Klopp and go into other positions in football, because over the past few years, Pep Guardiola won everything at Man City. I mean, the guy has won it all. He has nothing to prove, and Man City would never fire Pep Guardiola. So the best decision for him to do if he doesn't win a major cup this season is for him to let go of Man City and probably take a break from coaching, or coach a national team, or go somewhere else. That's it, folks. Like, comment, share, subscribe, share with family and friends. I'll be right back like Reece James, hopefully not injured and having proper vocal cords.